Evening, everybody. We're going to start the April 21st, 2015 Planning Board meeting. It's being recorded by our Director, Robert McDonald, and for LCAP, for the people watching at home, is there anybody here recording it?
Just could you offer me a reminder?
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. We're going to move in, start right in. First, we have special permit for New Way Homes, 28 Edmund Street.
Mr. Chairman, before we start,
Yep.
I'm just going to let you know that I need to recuse myself for possible conflict because of business.
Okay. Thank you. And we have something to read at the record.
The Town of East Long Meadow Planning Board will hold a public hearing on April 21st, 2015 at 6 o'clock in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 60 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass. for a special permit submitted by New Way Homes, Inc. The proposed project is for the reconstruction of a pre-existing non-conforming house located at 28 Edmund Street.
All right.
That's it.
Mr. Lillian, would you like to come up and explain what you'd like to do? Please.
Okay.
No, we don't bite, John. Honestly, we don't. Mr. Lillian, how are you, sir?
Mr. Richards.
Thanks.
This way. May I?
Yes, sir.
My name is Larry Levine. I'm the attorney for New Way Homes, Inc., who's the petitioner on this permit application for a house located at 28 Edmund Street. The house has been there since approximately 1880, and the petitioner, Mr. John Hansel, being the owner of the company, is asking that this board grant under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and also pursuant to East Long Meadow Zoning Bylaw, Section 3.4, that this is a non-conforming pre-existing structure, and that, in fact, the approval will not detrimentally affect the existing conforming nature of the existing structure to the neighborhood. I'd like to, with your permission, pass along photographs of the existing house and the abutting houses, and also suggest to you, you have attached to you a proposed plan showing the raising of the existing structure and the placement of the new structure, almost the exact same footprint footage. In fact, the existing structure does not conform to the 75-foot frontage nor to the 10,000 square foot minimum. However, the new structure, although it won't have the frontage or the square footage as well, will be set back further from the street and conform to the existing side yard and rear setback
All right,
restrictions.
we'll meet the
Existing.
setback for that area.
That's
The
correct.
25 feet. it will.
That's correct.
Okay.
In the last couple of weeks, I want to address, we don't have blinders on. We've heard rumors of what the potential use of the new house will be. Mr. Hansel has built over the last 10, 15 years more than a dozen homes in East Long Meadow. At this point, the new house, he's undecided whether he personally will live in the house or sell it as a single-family home. There's absolutely no intent to have, we've heard, halfway houses, other types of uses. There is no intent other than a single-family home to be built and to be used as such there. I don't know what else I can add.
All right, if I may, I'd like to ask a question. I guess, why do you feel it needs a section 6? That's where I'm struggling. Why do you feel it needs a section 6? Because I look under 3.4 and 3.56.
Yep.
A, B, 1, 2, and 3, and it meets the criteria for pre-existing non-conforming lot.
Correct.
So under 3.4 it also meets the criteria for pre-existing non-conforming structure setbacks, but all that's going away.
Correct. I
So-
just have to put on glasses to read to you.
Okay.
The section 3.4 and section 6 of 40A have almost identical language. And when you have reconstruction of any pre-existing non-conforming structure, either the permit granting authority, which in this case would be the building inspector, or the special permit granting authority, which is this board, has to make a finding, and that's what it says in the statute, that the change existing or to the existing structure, whether it be alteration, reconstruction, extension, or structural change, shall not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. That's also in our bylaw. The wording is slightly different, says does not increase the non-conforming nature of said structure.
If I may, 3.4 says this bylaw shall not apply to buildings or structures nor to the existing use of any buildings or structure or to land lawfully in existence or lawfully begun prior to the adoption of this bylaw, which was 62. So this was built in 1880.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that all this predates all of our bylaws that apply to pre-existing non-conforming. So I guess that's why I'm still not quite sure why you need a section 6.
If you would use the exact same footprint and wouldn't vary it at all, I don't know that you would need a section 6 finding.
Right, even though the new building's going to meet all the setbacks, which is in 3.56.
Except the front setback and the total square footage.
On the lot.
But the way I read the state law goes a little bit further, where it says that the special granting authority has to make a determination if you are reconstructing or altering. Then I believe that you need a section 6 finding. I don't think you can do it on your own unless the footprint was identical.
Well, I know in past it has been done many times. I
well-
think, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first section 6 finding I know of to take a house down a pre-existing non-conforming lot.
I don't agree with that interpretation.
Okay.
And there's another practical reason.
Yep.
If the statute does require it, and this board approves it, then an appeal would only be allowed within 20 days. If a building permit were issued, and it was issued improperly, it's my understanding that there's a 6-year statute of limitations.
Okay, I guess my question to you would be how, if the building meets all the setbacks, all the side yard requirements, how could it be,
It doesn't meet the front setback.
the lot doesn't, but we have provisions for pre-existing non-conforming lots in our bylaw. And if I may, I have something from town council that was talked about probably 10 years ago, if I could read that. I think,
I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen it.
and you agree with that?
Well, I agree with it to the extent that a pre-existing structure does not need a variance
Okay.
to do what we're suggesting, and many others have done. What I am saying is that the bylaw says does not increase the non-conforming nature of said structure. Well, who makes that determination? The statute allows the building inspector to do it. In my travels, I go before other towns, including building inspectors. I have yet to hear of a building inspector on his or her own making a Section 6 finding.
That's in effect, we need a section 6 finding. That's, I guess that's the argument I'm having. Not
But
a
if
debate I'm having.
your bylaw says the words "does not increase," does the applicant, does the builder make that decision?
No, I think, for argument's sake, it's a single-family residence.
Correct.
Mr. Hansel's gone in there with a plan for a single-family home.
Permit is not going to be issued. Already been asked
By whom?
of the building inspector.
He would not issue a permit?
No.
I don't understand why. He's done it plenty of times
Because
in the past.
most building inspectors do not want to take that burden for that decision, based on the statute.
Right, he has specifically said that it needs a special permit, section 6 finding.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman,
Certainly.
I think they want the finding. I think that we are the people who make that finding. If they've chosen to file for a special permit, I think we should respect that and act on their request for a special permit.
I would agree with that. The only concern I have is what's done in the past, now we're setting a new standard.
I've been before this board on at least 2 or 3 other applications, almost identical.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I've been before this board with similar things too, and not had to get a section 6. That's why I've gone,
The building inspector issued the permit on his own.
correct.
That, the current building inspector?
He's done it, the current building inspector's done it, the previous inspector has done it, and one of the interim inspectors has done it for three
Well-
sections I've built.
In the cases I've dealt with, that's not been the case.
Interesting.
I would have accepted that issuance. But again, the way I read the statute for protection of the applicant, whether it be a homeowner or a builder, I would
Right.
feel more secure having a finding using those words.
Okay.
20 days. 20-day appeal period compared to
Exactly.
6 years.
Okay. I'll open up the board members for comments.
Okay,
Open to the public.
I see from the plan that we do meet the front setbacks. The only non-conformant, so it's in fact less non-conforming than the building that's there because it does meet the front setback. The only thing it's missing is the frontage and the lot size.
Right, which
Okay.
we have allowed for in our bylaws.
Right, which is, you can't change the lot size here
Correct.
easily. So, to me, it looks like it is less non-conforming, and it will not be detrimental to the neighborhood. It'll be a new house that is got 2 feet further back from the street. So I think it looks good, personally.
Sandra?
You have to agree with George. I mean, it looks good. It's set back.
Ty?
I'd rather see a new house on a non-conforming lot, which is virtually no change, hardly any changes whatsoever, as opposed to something that's gonna be there forever and slowly get deteriorated,
Right, no,
just because it is conforming, so I'm okay with it.
yeah, I have no problem with the project in of itself. I want to make sure we get the language right, according to what you think it is and what, town council has told us that it is. And that's where I'm personally struggling, but, the other thing too, there's a footnote, the law of averages front setback. I don't know if you guys took that into play.
It still meets the current.
I realize,
25A.
but if there's a house closer to the road, you can in
Right.
fact, if you wanted to. So do you think that would require section 6, I guess would be a theoretical question that I would ask you.
Yeah, regardless of if it varies at all from the existing footprint, I believe we need a section 6 finding.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna open it up to the public at this time. If you could, please state your name and address for the record. And you'd like to ask any questions? Yes, sir.
Mark Fitzpatrick, 99 Maple. Just making sure, now, there's gonna be 2 homes, right? One in the adjacent lot, and then this one that you're gonna tear down, right?
Mr. Levine, would you like to answer that question?
That's what I understood.
There's been no actual decision what to do with that lot. There may be a marketing decision not to build there.
That's where I was a little concerned, I didn't understand how, that's why I think that rumor had gone through, it made sense for 2 houses to go there, ripping down a house, but to put a new house after you pay that kind of money for one, it
Well,
didn't seem.
whatever the market will bear, if you Google New Way homes, you would find that one of the uses somewhere in the Midwest is a halfway house.
Right.
But
Which, I think the neighborhood is strongly, obviously, against anything like that.
there is absolutely no intent. I've had numerous discussions, that's never been brought up.
But when I spoke to Mr. Hansel, it was, he had said that he was thinking of putting 2,
Mhm.
which I have no problem with. It's just, I didn't hear any of that being discussed here.
2.
Yeah, that's not really relevant. All we're talking about is the one lot tonight. Yeah, so that's a
I just want to
separate.
make sure that was all.
Yeah,
the
Yep.
plan, because otherwise I'd be a little, concerned why there was only one, and then I would think,
Yeah, that's
maybe
entirely up to the
There
applicant.
was an ulterior motive towards something like that.
Right, yep.
So, but it makes sense going to. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Judith Severin, 44 Edmund Street. I just wondered if there was a halfway house, suppose it's gonna go in there, would they have to have permission, some kind of permit to do that? So-
Not from us.
Not from you guys?
Correct. We're just here to discuss the issue that's being brought forward to us tonight. We
Could
can't,
he squelch that rumor?
I
Could
think
he
they
talk
have
about it?
initially.
He did go around, but maybe nobody else heard it, I don't know.
There's no-
They didn't hear it here.
No
so-
plans at all to build a halfway house or anything to that effect, a single-family home.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Melanie Mercier. I live at 50 Mill Road, but I'm also on the board at Norcross House, so that's why I'm here. But the question on the halfway house, just out of curiosity, if someone in any place in town wanted to use it for, like a mental health, I guess that's what they use it for, like developmentally disabled people
Yep.
that might have, do they need a special permit? Can a
To the best of my
homeowner-
knowledge, no, because they fall under the handicapped,
Well, they should.
handicap laws.
They should have some kind of.
It's an allowed use.
It's an allowed use. The state sets those laws.
Absolutely
American,
allowed
Don't
use.
have to have a special permit.
No.
Correct.
Oh, would they have to get permission from everybody that they
No.
can do that
No.
there? They don't
No.
even have to do that.
No.
Mr. Chairman, through the chair, Section 3 of Chapter 40A, which is the zoning act, specifically prohibits housing discrimination against disabled persons, okay, very specifically. And that's the state coming in and saying, you have no say over it, it's up to the state to make those determinations. They've taken that away from us.
Totally allowed.
And there's nothing we can do about it. It's a state law.
I don't like that.
Oh.
all right.
Excuse me.
All right, hold on. Yes, sir.
My name is Phil Burns. I live at 8 Edmund Street. Can I just make sure that I have a comprehensive understanding of this? The situation essentially says that there are 2 lots,
Yes.
and that the issue on the board right now is to take and build a single-family home on one lot, one of those parcels. Is that correct?
Yeah, one of the parcels right now has a house on it.
Correct.
He would
But
like to
the-
take that down and put a new house in its
Right,
place.
but we're only talking about one of the 2
Correct.
lots.
That's all we're talking about right now. That's all that's been brought before us.
So hypothetically then, somebody could decide, whether it be marketing, as Mr. Levine has alluded, if somebody wanted, they could build another house on that lot.
Correct. They're well within their rights.
And we wouldn't, as residents or abutters, we would have no ability to appeal some other kind of use for that, for a house on that second lot. Is that correct?
Right, because that lot, both lots are zoned for residential. So the owner slash applicant is entitled to build on both of those because they are both in fact building lots. So those are well within his rights. Yes, sir.
I could sell my house tomorrow to an organization and put mental retardation patients in my house, and this board would not have any control over it.
Right.
Anyone can do that. Mr. Hansel has no intent of doing anything like that.
And I understand that, but I guess what my concern is then, is that if we as residents of the neighborhood were really concerned about that being a possibility, then one of the responses that I might have is to say no. To say, you can't, I don't want you to demolish the current property because nobody else will, coming through and put up another, or house or a halfway house on that particular building.
Yeah, unfortunately, we as a board, we do not have that authority. We can only determine.
Well, all I'm saying is that the only recourse we have is to say, I don't want you to knock down that house and build a new one.
Okay.
Live with it as it is. Do you
But
understand
I do understand what you're saying, but I have to respect your thoughts and opinions as I have to respect his.
Right. I
It is
just
his
wanna
property, he
make sure
does
that-
own it, he's entitled to do what he wants with it.
But I think a new house would improve the neighborhood.
Correct.
Agreed.
Right.
I
Yep.
have absolutely no
Yeah,
Oh,
let's,
I'm
you know, I
sorry.
think right now the matter at hand is a Section 6 finding. You know, what are you going to do with it is not really relevant to tonight's conversation. I'm sure to a lot of you, you know, I'm sure there's concerns, but, you know, as a board collectively, we have to, you know, work on what's in front of us, not, you know, what's rumored or what's innuendo or, so, yes, sir.
Tim Murphy, 25 Edmund Street. So first of all, I didn't know that drug dependency was a handicap.
It is.
It is?
Yes, it is. So is alcoholism.
Second of all, what are your plans with the vacant lot? You gonna clean it up, or you're just gonna replace the existing house and leave the...
Chairman, that's...
That's not really relevant to the conversation.
Nothing to do with this?
No, we're talking about the
Nothing.
one lot that has the house. They want to take the house down. It's pretty, it's not conforming lot.
So we don't really have a say in this,
No.
Not really, nor do we.
but you're asking our opinion, but we don't have it.
Because it's a Section 6 finding gets to take in public opinion.
Okay.
So if there was an issue where the topography was going to directly affect one of the neighbors, then that neighbor would have a chance to get up and speak. That's why we have the public hearing, to make sure we get everybody's opinions.
Trust John and his word, huh, John? Right,
Can't
John?
be subjective. It has to meet the zoning
Mr. Chairman,
requirements.
just a quick response. Mr. Hansel could take the existing house today and offer it to sale to some sort of exempt organization, and they can move in tomorrow and use that. We're only here to ask that we better the neighborhood and build a more economic and environmentally friendly house. The use is not going to change.
All right, anybody else like to speak? All right, bring it back to the board.
Make them, yeah, again, it's, to me, it looks like it is more conforming. It is not detrimental to the neighborhood. I think we've got the information we need. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the Section 6 finding as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's not true. They don't understand. They don't understand.
Do you want the photos?
I think we're gonna have to keep them now.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to pick this up with you later.
What?
I want to pick this up with you later.
No, I did not know which letter, that it was Jim's
I've
letter?
got several.
Yes.
I think you're right and wrong. Well, no.
Well, you know, lawyers have different opinions,
Depends on who's paying.
all right?
Let me say one thing, I take Michael's side on this all the way.
That was what?
I take your side on this whole matter.
Oh.
On the debate.
Well, him and I are done with this. We'll hash it out.
Yeah, but,
Do a good job, Brian.
I'm ready.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
You just don't get it. Do you need these back?
What?
You want to know more about?
What is that?
No, you have to keep those.
We have to keep them.
No, you keep them. I spent a lot of money on them.
Thank you very much.
John, thanks.
They don't understand.
That's not our problem. I tried to explain to him.
That's why I hate sitting up here sometimes.
Right.
What they don't understand is that it's not subjective. You know, they say they don't have a, if they
That's right.
could prove that it would be against the bylaws, then yes, they have a say. But just because they don't want it is not what their say is. And that's always been a problem with ZBA, with Concom, with everything.
Closed, it's done.
Yep,
Okay.
correct. All right, let's move on. Request for signage, Taylor Rental, 200 Shaker Road.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Crowley's here.
Yes, we
That's
should
an
let
informal
him.
discussion.
Yeah, let's
get
do
Mike
that.
home so we can have dinner.
You've been patiently waiting?
All right. I wish I had a wife that was
boy.
cooking dinner for me.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate you
I'll
allowing
make
me to
dinner
come in.
for you, Robin.
Will you?
Sure.
Are they Cornell? Yes.
Yeah, they're okay.
All right. Mr. Crowley, what
Thank you
would
very
like to
much.
discuss tonight?
Well, I happen to be in visiting Robin on another matter, which I hope will be more exciting news for the town come later this year. But one of the things I started talking to Robin about as we were conversing was the fact that I've been spending a lot of time over the course of the last couple of years looking for an apartment for myself and my wife as we've become empty nesters, and we have a home down the Cape, which we spend a good deal of time at. And I still have numerous business enterprises in this area and sit on a bunch of different boards. So I have a lot of ties to the area, and I hope that I'll be able to do that for at least another 10 or 15 years. So I want to stay in the area, but people say, well, just go buy a condo. And I said, well, I don't want a condo. I don't want to have that expense, and I don't want to be tied to a condominium. I just want to have a really nice apartment someplace. So I've looked all around the area, up and down the valley, and the only place that I can really find one is Amherst, and even Northampton doesn't really have them, although there's a good deal of discussion about building them now. So you end up looking down into West Hartford, where there's some really nice communities down there that have blossomed over the course of the last few years. Hartford is kind of taking shape itself. There's a lot of new apartments going in downtown Hartford. And also in the course of the last couple of years, I spent a lot of time in East Long Meadow, got to really know the community, and in particular the Village Center, because I spent a lot of time here. And having coffee at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and eating at Jack Chen's and the Grill and every place else around here. And I realized that this community has everything that an empty nester would want, except for a place to live. You have incredible amenities such as the bike trail, ball fields. You have the health club right, in the Village Center. All these restaurants, services, retail. Don't have a place for a young active adult. I'm 57. I'll be 58 in a while. But I consider myself I consider myself young and active, and I'd like to stay that way. But
a young man.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah, they say 60 is the new 40 or something like that. I don't know if I can tell you I feel 40, but anyway, I said to Robin, I know some guys that are developing up in Amherst, and they've really changed the complexion of the neighborhood in a very positive way. They built some really nice apartment units up there. My daughter moved to Denver, and I've been out to Denver on 3 occasions in the last 4 months, and the community's just booming with new apartment construction, driving all of this huge economic development into these downtown areas. Frankly, I think some of the areas in Hampden County in particular are very challenged to be able to accommodate that type of development that I'm considering. I don't think you can necessarily do it in downtown Springfield right now. I don't see it in Agawam. I don't see it in West Springfield. I don't see it in Westfield. And I've looked all around because, again, I've been looking for an apartment for myself and my wife. And I think what you need in order to support this type of development that I've conceived is a safe community that has an abundance of amenities, shopping, retail services, outdoor activities, in immediate proximity, close proximity to workplaces, i.e. downtown Springfield, downtown Hartford, whatever that may be, close proximity, reasonably close proximity to entertainment and arts, and you've got, again, Hartford, Springfield, and then if you want to go further north up the valley, Northampton, Amherst. But Long Meadow, beautiful community. Wilbraham, beautiful community. Munson, beautiful suburban communities, rural communities. But none of them have a village center like East Long Meadow. So I said to Rob, and of course, most people think I'm crazy with this concept anyway, but because there has not been a new market rate apartment complex constructed in Hampden County since 1984. There's been new apartments constructed, but all of them have been subsidized, either senior housing or low-income housing, or affordable housing, excuse me. My concept is not that. My concept is market rate housing, high-end. I'm thinking, the stuff that I'm looking at for my wife and I, if there's something that even fits what I'm looking at, you're talking for a 2-bedroom apartment, you're talking somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 a month. This is not inexpensive living. I envision young professionals. I envision interns at the hospitals that are coming into this area for 2 to 3 years to live here. I envision academia, professors that are in the area. I envision a lot of people like myself. And when I say a lot, I'm not talking about hundreds of units. I don't think there's a market for that. I think there's a niche market for maybe somewhere between 25 and 50 units. I'm not telling you I even have a piece of land in mind. In fact, I think it's going to be a challenge to find some. But I will say that when you look around the Village Center, and then this is not a condemnation to any of the properties, but you look around and there's some pretty obsolete lower value industrial properties in the immediate area that I think over time could be good candidates to transition into something that I think this community actually needs to keep some of these people aging in place in this community. And that would be some really good quality housing. But when I talked to Robin, she said there's no provision in the bylaw that allows for that. You can't do apartments in East Long Meadow unless there's senior housing. And again, I don't consider myself a senior yet, although I probably do qualify under state law. But again, so I said to Robin, that's really unfortunate, and so I'll have to go continue my search in an effort to find a place for myself, number one, to live, but number two, to see if I can further this concept in a different community other than Northampton and Amherst. And one of the reasons that I don't want to go up to Northampton or Amherst is because it gets me farther away from my workplace. Most of my work and my business opportunities and business ventures and the boards that I sit on are in Hampden County and down into Connecticut. My wife's workplace is in downtown Springfield. She's an educator, and she has the intention to continue along those lines, whether even after she retires, she's probably going to go into some type of consultation on an educational basis, both in Springfield and Hartford area. So going up to Amherst or Northampton, while there may be some opportunities today, and there's certainly going to be some more going forward, because there are a number of developments that are in the pipeline or being contemplated up there. There's nothing like that down in Hampden County. So I'd probably continue my search, because I do think that there is the potential for this niche market. But I think East Long Meadow has all of the qualities necessary to make it a perfect opportunity. It's halfway between Hartford and closer to Springfield, but very close to Hartford. You have a lot of young professionals rotating in and out of these communities, and frankly, there's not an abundance of really good quality housing for those individuals. And because of this community and how it's blossomed, and frankly, it's an attribution to all of what the boards have done in this community over the years to keep East Long Meadow growing and prospering and keep it a safe community and a vibrant community. I think it's a perfect candidate to contemplate something like that. And I'm just wondering if there's an appetite at the board level to think about entertaining such a concept. And if there is, I'd probably take it a next step and start doing a little bit more investigation to see if there's properties available that would be suitable for it, and test the economic viability of those options. But I don't want to go spending a lot of time, effort, and resources if there's not going to be any kind of an appetite for it. I don't want to force something down your throats by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concept is great, because we had another developer in here that was thinking along the same line.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, Jay LaFay was talking about something similar to that with the property he owns, but he was talking, I think, 2 stories or a park.
He was talking mixed use.
Yeah, it was.
And
I thought it was a good idea, but didn't quite fit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was. It didn't fit the lot, basically.
It wasn't the right site.
It was a huge piece of property, and it was a mixed use.
Yeah, I'm not thinking mixed use, because I think there's plenty enough retail around here already to service what you have. I don't think you need to bring any more retail into this. I'd rather have the residents that I'm hoping to attract to our property, or the property that I conceptualize anyway, would be patrons of all these existing shops and restaurants and services. Again, I think density is important. I don't think you want low rise here. I think you'd want 3 stories. I would envision some first floor underground parking, and then 2 floors of housing above that. 3 at the most, so you'd have a 3-story or a 4-story building. I personally think 4-story might be a little bit too aggressive for the first building in town to think about this. I think 3 stories would probably be the max that I would want to look at right now.
Yeah, we do have height limitations too,
Yeah.
35 feet.
Yeah, and again, those things would have to be, modified, because it wouldn't work otherwise. I don't envision townhouses, with pull-in garages or anything like that. The stuff that I'm seeing out there isn't like that anymore. That's really an obsolete development concept. When you travel around the country, you don't see that anymore. It's really garden-style apartments. It's underground parking, secure parking. Vertical construction, so that you're not using up, keep as much green space out there as possible, go up a little bit, as long as it's not obtrusive. And frankly, I think when you look around the village center, I think there potentially could be a number of options for some property gentrification to support that. But again, that's just my vision, but if it's not the board's vision or not the town's vision, I'm not going anywhere with it, you know? And that's what I told Robin, I'd just like to come in and float the idea, and then if you think it's crazy, then I'll go back to doing what I've been doing all along, and if not, I'd be happy to kind of run with the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. I don't think it's crazy, but we'd have to go in the right area, and the first thing we have to do is create a zone for it, or add it to another zone, which can get complicated, and that's where I would struggle with it, you know, because if we say, okay, we're gonna allow it here, and somebody who has property is gonna say, all right, well, I'm upset that I didn't get to do it here.
Yeah, no, I get
That's,
it.
you know, you try to be fair to everyone, and that's where the dynamic
Right.
would certainly come into play.
Right. Well,
Again, I do think it's a good idea, and I think it would.
That's, I
work
thought it
well.
might be helpful to piggyback off that village, is it village center district that you have? I thought maybe if you wanted, you know, if there was an appetite for it, they'd probably piggyback off that. So it would make it a very selective few number of properties that would ultimately qualify.
We don't have a village center district.
Oh, I thought you did.
That was shut.
Planned business,
We have planned business, but
Right.
the village center one did not pass.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but we do, I mean,
and
we
it's
do.
not a district, it's a use.
Yeah,
Planned
Okay.
business
Okay.
use,
Yeah.
yeah.
but, I mean, we do have the Elms, okay, condominiums, okay, which people approved of. They are owner occupied mostly, not all. You can, if you own one, you can rent it out. There's nothing that stops you from doing that.
And that's not limited to age.
That's not
Right.
limited to age.
Right.
So the concept of multiple family housing done the right way has gotten through town meeting, and it's
Planned
been,
residential district, I
Right.
think is the district for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what, like Bluebird Acres is in?
No.
That's different.
Bluebird Acres is congregate living.
Okay.
The Elms is
I
specifically
see.
just residential, it's
Yeah.
not age discriminated, it's
Right.
just you can have
but it was executed
multiple
extremely
uses.
well, so it demonstrates that that concept can work in this town.
Right.
The trick is to, it would require a zone change. We would have to either create a new use or a new district or an overlay district or something, and lay out the specifications of what the limitations on this are, lot coverage, all that kind of thing. And then we'd have to get that through town meeting. And, you know, my sense has always been, as soon as you say apartment building, people think Springfield.
Yeah, I agree, that's the
You
problem.
know.
I think people have this negative
Subsidized.
connotation on apartment, exactly.
Yeah, but I think
I
that-
can tell you that that's not what I do.
I understand that,
Nor
but
do I have any desire to do that. And
Yeah.
like I said, most people think I'm crazy for even thinking residential because it's a tough
Yeah.
business.
I mean, and the other thing we need to remember is that any zone change or overlay, anything we add to the zoning bylaw applies to everybody, okay? Not just you.
Sure.
Anybody else can come in and, under the, as long as they meet the bylaw, do what they want to, build what they want to build. So, you know, that's, we need to remember that we're making a fundamental change, if you will, and to understand whether or not the town will accept that at town meeting. Obviously, we're reluctant to go forward with something if we don't think it's going to pass.
Right.
Okay.
It needs to show a community,
Support, yeah.
community benefit, which
Yeah.
I think that would be an easy
Another
sell.
issue that I'm sure will come up in any discussion of this is the casino. And that, is this going to attract workers at the casino, who, some of whom are going to be well-paid?
Well, yeah, some, you know, I could
Okay.
envision a couple of executives. I'd love to see some MGM executives live there
Sure.
for a couple of years.
But what people are concerned about is a transient population, where, you know,
Yeah.
casino rents
Yeah.
an apartment, and they've had people in and out there every 3 months because they're rotating them around
Yeah.
the organization. you know.
Yeah, I can only tell you, George, that from an economic basis, I don't think they'd be able to afford the type of rents that I would need to justify to build this
Right,
complex.
I'm just highlighting.
Oh, I get it, yeah, I mean.
What I'm gonna hear.
Yeah, perception becomes reality.
Yeah.
I totally
You
understand that.
So, I like the idea. I think it's doable, but I think it's gonna be, there's going to have to be a lot of education involved, as well as choosing the right site and,
Yeah.
and doing a very, very careful drafting of any changes to the bylaw. So I don't think it's going to happen rapidly, but I think it could happen, and if this is the catalyst that can make it happen, then we need to talk some more, I think.
And what is the process of making or creating a zone change or getting a zone change or amending a bylaw? I'm totally.
We write the bylaw, we take it to town meeting, if it passes, it goes to the Attorney General.
And then what do you need, 2/3 vote at town meeting, or what's the threshold?
You need a 2/3 vote at town meeting to change the zoning
Okay.
bylaw.
It's not to say that you can't bring your own bylaw.
Exactly.
As well.
Well, I wouldn't do it unless we worked hand in hand on trying to figure it out together, and you guys are the pros at that, I'm not.
Well, some people tell you differently.
No, I mean, well, I can tell you that I'm not. This is just a concept that I think, my gut, after doing this type of stuff for so long, I have a pretty good instinct that this could be successful. Most people think I'm a little crazy about it, but I just know in the people that I talk to.
I like the idea. I have for years. From time to time, I call Robin up and say, "Hey, Robin, what about this site? Do you think that could happen?" No, we're not zoned for it. Be honest with you, if someone wants to shepherd that through and it's done properly, I would certainly be interested in knowing more about it and supporting it if I like the idea. But so far, it sounds good.
Is there a need for senior housing?
Well, what do you mean by
Affordable senior
senior?
Yeah.
Affordable
So-
senior housing.
so then-
Not what you're talking.
Yeah, but I
No.
think you're talking about something different.
No, I am. You're right, Tide. Because what Robin said to me as in our parting conversation was that the only apartments allowed are affordable senior housing. Well, I'm thinking that you could create a mix of those, if you get the right site, because when you look around at the potential opportunities, and I was Google Earthing and driving around all the neighborhood, and unfortunately, a lot of the properties, and I'll tell you what kind of triggered this, was when I saw that, is it Carlin Manufacturing, or the old Phelan Manufacturing, whatever it's called, when they closed their doors and were relocating, and that property could sit dormant for 20 years.
Sure.
And just rot in the middle of town. And
Factory machinery doing that.
And
Exactly.
there's a
They
lot
just
of
sold.
environmental issues.
Exactly.
Just sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something weird about that. huh,
It's
Ty?
It's probably an
They sold
internal
to
sale,
themselves.
because I said to myself, we made an offer that was more than that, so why would they do that one?
They did it, yeah.
So it has to be internal.
So I looked at, and that's the one that triggered a nice, Googled Earth that I've been driving all around it, but it's a really big site, and they're asking some exorbitant price for it, and then you've got cleanup costs, and you'd have demolition costs.
Yes.
And before you know it, you're spending $2 million to buy enough land to build 30 apartments. That doesn't work.
Right.
The economics they just don't work. But if you could build 35 or 50 senior affordable housing, and then 25 to 50 really high-end market rate housing, you might get to a point where it starts to make sense. And I don't see those two uses being mutually exclusive at all. In fact, I see them being synergetic to one another.
By the way, I see a lot of young professionals out of college, 3-4 years into their career. They're not ready to settle down, buy a house, because they don't know if they're going to be permanently in this area or not.
Exactly.
But they could use high-quality apartments in a nice community, which is another category for what you're talking about.
And because you look around, and I mean, rents are going crazy everywhere you look.
Houses are crazy rent.
Buying a house is crazy, but if like Tide said, that individual who's a young professional who graduated from college, has a really good job at one of the companies in the area, young professional making good money, way more than I made when I got out of college, I can assure you that. But they're a different animal out there these days, and they want good quality living, and they're paying $1,400 to live in what I think is kind of marginal
They want
housing.
to walk to the restaurants.
Exactly.
They
They
want
wanna-
to shopping.
that's exactly right. They wanna be able to run up and down the bike
They want to
trail.
go to a good school if they have young children.
Exactly.
The whole 9 yards.
Exactly, so
So then
I don't want to belabor this, because I know you guys got more important
I
stuff.
think one of the things is density. How many apartments you're talking about, how much additional traffic there's going to be. If you're talking somewhere close to the center, and all of a sudden you're adding, 60 people taking 4 or 5 trips a day,
Yeah,
it adds quite a bit to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, traffic's an issue.
Yeah,
And the other issue that came up on the previous proposal was One was lot coverage. It was, they wanted waivers on lot coverage to
Yeah.
get, and that, in this town, that could be an issue because we don't
Yeah.
want walls along the street.
Yep.
But then also was the issue of conflict with existing businesses. That if you choose a lot or a parcel that backs up to an existing business that might be somewhat noisy, let's say,
Yeah.
or, messy, suddenly you have the issue of people paying
Yeah.
$2,000 a month, look out their back window and
Yeah.
they see this, and the guy's been there for 50 years, but,
Yeah. Well, and there's no doubt about it, and that's
Yeah.
why I said, I drove around the area, and it's gonna be a challenge to even come up with a site to make
Sure.
this work. And it would have to necessarily be assemblage, but I think one of the things that is gonna be hard to convince a town like East Long Meadow, and people like yourself, who have been so accustomed to these low-density developments, is that that's not the wave of the future. The wave of the future is much different than that, and it's higher density. It's bringing people into a closer-knit community, keeping green space as much as possible away from that, allowing people recreational opportunities, bringing people into an area where they can park their car and they're walking everywhere instead of driving around everywhere. That's the concept, and that's where all the modern development is going, no matter where you go in the country. So, and again, I'm not saying that East Long Meadow's ready for that, or even prepared to consider it, but if you are, Ralph, you would need higher density, you would need elevation, you're gonna bring traffic to the area, there's no doubt about it. And if those are things that the community doesn't want to live with, then, I understand that, I get it. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody, this is not a 40B type of thing, this is really just a concept.
I mean, personally, I like the concept, I like the thought of it, but I'm also a realist.
Yeah.
When it comes to a vote at the town
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
What I may like, the town may step up and say absolutely not.
Right.
And I try and listen to as many people as I can and, try and relay that information.
Right.
And
Well-
like I said, large open green spaces and then, a 20, 30 unit building, as long as the lot coverage is correct, it weighs itself out and balances out.
Yeah, I think the problem is, I think in this village, in order to do this, you'd basically have 100% lot coverage to make it work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be, you're not gonna create a lot of green space. You have green space already. You have parks, you have bike trails, you have walking amenities for people already. So you don't need more green space in the village. That's not what the village is for.
Right.
In my opinion, the village is for retail, services, and hopefully a living opportunity. But again, I'm not trying to tell you guys how to do your urban planning or central planning, but I just think that there's perhaps maybe, if the board is not totally adverse to the concept, I'd be willing to kind of take the ball and run with it a little bit and have my team kind of do some site analysis, do some economic analysis, and say, this is what we would kind of need, this is the hypothetical site, this is what the hypothetical building would look like. And then if it gets to a point where you say, this is never gonna fly at town meeting, then I pack my bags and go look for something else to do that won't kill me for the next 2 years.
One of the really useful things that you could do early on would be to try to identify an existing development that is similar to what you're talking about, whether it's Hartford or Springfield or
Amherst. Yep.
And get us a copy of their bylaw.
They rewrote it to
Right.
accommodate these new developments that are going on.
Blueback Square, too.
Yeah, good, that's really a good example,
It is,
Blueback
it's
Square down in
huge.
West Hartford.
Right.
Now,
I
that's
mean,
big
it's-
density.
Oh, it's.
That's right,
But the revenue is just unbelievable for the
Yeah,
town.
yeah, it's fabulous. And that's the other thing about this. If you follow along this concept, and, one of these apartments is probably gonna cost, it's gonna cost more to build than it's worth, believe it or not, and
Yeah.
Mike, you understand
It'll be
that.
long-term.
It is, it's a long-term passionate investment,
Right.
but let's say it's, apartment complexes today are trading at $70,000, $80,000 a unit around this market. Let's just use $80,000 a unit at a tax rate of what, $22 per thousand? Something like that?
By then, yeah.
Not by then, it is now.
But on a per square foot basis, this type of development would yield so much more tax revenue than these older industrial buildings that are sitting in the village center. are those older manufacturing and warehouse buildings, are they creating jobs for the community? If that, well, exactly. If that were the case, you don't want to displace those type of companies because you want jobs. But if they're not providing a big economic benefit in terms of job creation, all they are is eating away at your, what potentially could be.
Chestnut's been sitting vacant for years.
Yeah, it'd be a great location.
No, see, that's a little too far, Ralph. I mean, that's
We're
more.
trying to get the use out of the building.
But that's more akin to what, where you're coming from. And although it's on the bike path and it's close to the village center, it's not there.
It's not the village center.
Could you do housing out there? I think so. It would be a different type than what I'm thinking.
It's borderline. You could still walk the bike path to get to Stop and Shop, but it's a long walk.
Yeah.
You can still walk to
So
get to the grill.
you're right in the outside edge.
Yeah. It would be a different type of living. It would be a more urban setting, more, and again, that's, more rural setting, that's suburban setting. That's not really what I'm thinking here, but it may be the better of the two options if that's what's more acceptable to the town, or the people that live in the town, because ultimately that's the arbiters of this decision, really, especially if you have to go to town meeting.
Be careful about the tax rate, the tax revenue aspect of it, because it depends on the demographics of your renters. If you have, if they have one or two kids, it wipes it out entirely. Because the cost of schooling overwhelms that. We talk about these $500,000 houses with two kids in them are just about breaking even.
I agree with you, George, and I understand that, but the units that I'm talking about, they're not really family suitable.
Right.
I'm not saying you wouldn't have one or two kids, but new urban living now is small. You can't believe how small it is. It's small, it's simple, it's very clean, very energy efficient, but I mean, you're talking one-bedroom units that are 650, 700 square feet, two-bedroom units that are like 1,000 square feet. This is not what you and I are used to when you go out to suburban Agawam, West Springfield, where a two-bedroom unit's 1,250 square feet. This is much more compact, far smaller, not really conducive to families. And frankly, that's not that you can discriminate against anybody who might.
But that's not the target area. It's the target market.
Demographic.
No, my target, go talk to the people at Bay State. Go talk to the people at Mercy that are bringing interns in. They have no place for those people to live.
Well, and it's firefighters.
They're sending them up to Northampton and Amherst. And they don't like that commute. Go talk to the professionals at Mass Mutual who are rotating young professionals throughout the country, coming in for a couple of years stints. Where are they living? They're living in downtown Hartford. What's the name of that club? Not a club, apartment building, 21 or something like that. It's right on Main Street in Hartford there, or Trumbull Street rather. Lowest end apartment there's $2,500. Same as West Hartford. West Hartford, that Blueback Square.
It's amazing.
Those are all condos, aren't they?
No, those are apartments.
Are they?
A 650 square foot apartment down there rents for about $2,200.
Yeah, at least.
Same in Amherst. The project that I'm in my mind, George, is one that these guys did. They're called Archipelagio Investments. One guy's a real young guy. He's a rocket scientist. He undergrad at U Virginia Architectural School, and then he went and got his MBA at Michigan. Bright kid. He moved to Amherst because he fell in love with a woman whose family was from Amherst. His father was a single practitioner architect, so he kind of fell into the development business. He hooked up with this guy named Dave Williams. Dave owned an architectural and engineering company. Dave's about 75, brilliant guy. They got together and decided that they needed to reinvent Amherst, Mass. Dave's family owns Judy's Restaurant. I don't know if you're familiar with it, right there on North Pleasant Street. They had a 5,000 square foot lot out in back of the building that they used to have the dumpsters on. They took that 5,000 square foot lot and built 16 units there, and the most expensive units in Western Massachusetts. And they have a 2.5-year waiting list.
Yep.
So what they do, they went and bought a 13,000 square foot triangular shaped lot next to Bertucci's on North Pleasant Street. They're building 5 stories. They're getting 62 units out of it. They then went and bought the carriage shops, and they're knocking that down, and they're building 5 stories there too. They basically got the zoning bylaws of Amherst rewritten in a matter of a year and a half, and they've got $100 million worth of development ongoing. And the town of Amherst is embracing it, and so are all the shops and the restaurants, because it's economic development. It's driving people. Yeah, parking there's a pressure on parking. That's a good thing about East Long Meadow. You guys don't really have that level of pressure yet. Is there traffic pressures? There's always traffic pressures when you bring
Well, we've
people
got
to
the
an
casino
area.
coming too, which is gonna definitely accelerate those pressures.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wish there was a lot more concepts like mine for economic development than a casino, but that's a different debate.
That's another issue.
You know?
Well, I'd like to see a copy of the Amherst bylaw. Shoot.
I can get them for you. I'm actually going up, I'm having a visit with those gentlemen on Friday. I'll have them, in fact, I might truck them down here some night, because they're just very affable guys, and, you know, you would never know that they pulled off $100 million worth of commercial development or residential development in the last 24 months. It's amazing.
The only, you know, I think it's doable. I think if with the right information flow, you know, we could help the town understand that this could be good and it might work.
I think it's a plus for the planning board.
The only thing, as soon as you mention Amherst, this town is a polar opposite from Amherst in terms of its politics. Okay? If
Yeah, you guys are way more liberal.
If Amherst is all the way over here,
I just need to.
okay, no, seriously.
Town meeting to end the war.
I'm talking about the voters.
I understand that, but
Okay.
you know, the bottom line is good quality living. People want to stay in their communities or close
No,
by their communities.
I agree with you. I
Yeah,
just,
no,
you know, you need.
That was the other
you need
reason
to
why I didn't really want to go up to
Younger
Amherst to live there. My daughter went to school there for 4 years, and that was enough.
You know, they call it the People's
Support
Republic
this.
of Amherst
Let
for a reason.
everyone-
Yes, they do.
I agree.
But in any case, yeah.
Okay.
I
if you wanna-
think there's a possibility.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if you wanna, come back some.
Yeah, again, it's something that I'd like to kind of nurture and see if it goes anywhere, and
Sandra?
Definitely a good thought. I think it's
Yes.
pretty neat.
Ralph?
Yeah,
great,
absolutely.
thank
There
you.
we go.
Okay.
I know you are.
Know where it'll ultimately go, but we'll see. I'll give it.
We gotta start somewhere. so.
Give it the old college try.
Conversation's the best way to
Yeah,
start.
thank you very much.
Thank you very
And
much.
once again, thank you so much for all your help with Bay Path. I hope you're
Looks great.
proud of it, and
Came
happy
out
with it.
awesome. It looks great.
I know
Looks great.
the university is just tickled pink, you know, everything's worked out so well for them over there.
Came out awesome.
Students love it, and hopefully they're patronizing some of the shops in the community. I think they are, but thank you again, appreciate it.
Terrific.
And George, hopefully you and I can speak regarding Mary Swords'
Yeah.
memorial.
Dan has scheduled the dedication of the conservation area for May 9th.
Okay.
At 4 p.m.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll get in the paper. We'll see.
Okay, maybe I'll try to stop by, but if not, just
Yeah.
let me know, and maybe you and Dan and I can have a coffee.
Sure.
Great, thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you ladies here for?
What do you have left on your agenda?
A few things, that's
You're
why.
next.
We'd like to, what are you here for?
No, he's not coming in tonight.
Pardon?
The young man is not coming in because the Board of Selectmen decided that they needed to have him on their agenda first.
Oh, you're kidding. We just sat here and listened to all that for nothing.
Come on.
Not for nothing, that was
Come on.
You
intriguing.
have my sympathy now. Now I know what you guys
Yeah.
have to go.
Yeah.
So they notified Rick. That, oh, okay.
I'm so sorry, yeah. They decided at the last minute that they needed to have him come before them. It probably will come before this board on May 5th.
Sorry.
So I can't say anything?
Yeah, we,
I mean,
we
there's
don't have it.
No, he said-
Unfortunately, the board has no knowledge of it because is it Holden, I
Casales.
think he is? Well, no, I mean the young man, the Eagle Scout, I think his last name is Holden.
Right.
He has not presented to this board yet.
And we were wondering why he wasn't here tonight.
Yes, that's why, because the Board of Selectmen has decided they needed to have him there first.
All right.
So sorry, and thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
So sorry,
No
I
problem,
wished
no
I had
problem. It was very
known.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. This way? All right.
All right, then we'll go back to our regular scheduled program.
Okay, regular schedule.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Request for signage for Taylor Rental, 200 Shaker Road.
Yeah, hold
Sorry
on.
about it, bad breath, I got a frog in my throat.
You don't
tonight.
have that, I would tell you. if you
I hope you do.
did. I would.
Thank you, because I need to know.
Too much time to. This is yours, by the way.
I don't know anything.
Right?
All right?
Right.
Okay,
Put that right there.
okay.
Sign permit application dated April 7th, 2015. Business name and address is Taylor Rental, Shepta Lane, 278 Summers Road, East Long Meadow, ABE Property Management. Telephone numbers are listed here. Nearest intersection is Chestnut and Shaker. Square area proposed signs is 14, double-sided, it is double. Freestanding, yes. Height above the ground is 16 feet, no projections from the building. Setback from the property line is 26 feet, nearest distance to the side yard is 40 feet. Is a permanent sign. Total number of existing signs is 1, total square foot of existing signs is 30. Total number of proposed and existing signs are 2. Total square footage of proposed and existing signs is 42. The application's been, the estimated cost is $600, and the application has been signed.
Any pictures?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. That word existing, I struggle with.
Okay.
Simple.
You've all seen that before?
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, that's all the criteria? Anybody have any discussion before somebody wants to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve,
I'll second.
subject to the approval of the building inspector.
Thank you. All right, any more discussion? Motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up, we have request for signage for Tranquility Nails and Spa at 628 North Main Street.
Okay, the application was dated April 1st, 2015. Tranquility Nails and Spa, 628 North Main Street. The business owner's name is Kathy, and I'm going to have to spell it for you. Thitai. There is a phone number listed here. 120 Maracino Park Street, Springfield, Mass. 01108. Property owner's name and address is Bob, Pride Plaza Inc., 246 Cottage Street, Springfield, Mass. And then we have Bob Baldock underneath it with phone numbers. Telephone numbers are listed here. Square footage of proposed signs is 37. It is single-faced. It is freestanding, and it, wait a minute. It is freestanding and it's attached to the building.
Oh, well, yeah, it's attached to the building, yes.
So I guess it's sort of freestanding.
It's attached to the building.
It's attached to the building.
Free attached.
Height above the ground is 5 feet. No projections from the building. Setback from property line is 200 feet. Distance from side yard is 100 feet. Is that 20 feet and 10 feet?
Yes.
That's almost like the size of a football field.
I know, that.
It must be 20 feet and 10 feet.
Yeah.
Distance to top of sign is 20 feet. The sign is permanent. Total number of existing signs is 2. Square footage of existing signs is 37. Total number of proposed and existing signs is 2. The application's been signed and dated. The estimated cost is $3,000. And that's it.
Should go into the sign business.
You're not kidding. I can make money just doing applications for these people.
Okay, so that's in the Pride Plaza, yeah.
You approved
Okay.
the waiver
Yeah.
many, many months ago.
Is the sign already up?
That's the one on the building. Do they also have one out in front?
Out front, okay. I'm good with that.
It's just on the building.
I knew he was
The
gonna
motion
ask
to
that. I was trying
approve,
to-
subject to the approval of the building inspector.
I'm sorry,
Motion to
motion?
approve, subject to the approval of the building inspector.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made. Any more discussion? Motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Request for waiver of site plan review for Kelly L. Norman.
Request for waiver of site plan review. Property owner is CDB Realty LLC. Address is 280 North Main Street, East Long Meadow. Phone numbers are listed here. Name of proposed business is Kelly N. Norman, M.A. LMHC LLC. Owner of business is Kelly Norman. Excuse me. Business owner's address is 166 Dwight Road, Springfield, Mass. Property address is 280 North Main Street, Suite 5, East Long Meadow. Property district is commercial. Allowed use is yes. Proposed hours of operation are 24/7. Access, but generally 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Number of employees are 2. Summary of business to provide psychiatric services for families and individuals. The application was signed and dated April 7th, 2015.
Is it the Reminder Building?
Yep.
Yep.
Allowed use in
Yes.
existing building, make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion made in second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, finally, we got an A&R for St. Paul's Church, which I'm going to recuse myself from.
And actually, Ralph, you
I
wanna?
think we still have to vote on this anyways.
You have to vote on it. Unfortunately, what has happened with this is that the existing property
Yeah.
really does not reflect what's there. So we've spoken, Ralph came into the office today and we spoke to the architect. He's going to provide you with another plan because, as you know, you approved the building in the back, so the whole parking lot area is different. And rather than have this recorded with the Registry of Deeds as the latest plan,
So we're gonna have to
it
wait.
would show, yeah, so what you need to do is deny this because of the 21-day
The entire
period.
rectory is missing.
Oh, yeah.
But deny it for the reasons that insufficient information, and what he's going to do is provide you with
These are already sold, correct?
right, mhm.
Yeah.
And that, as you know, the actual church area, that parking lot doesn't exist anymore because there's a new building in the
Yeah.
back, so
So what-
it's
what-
all reconstructed,
What was the
Shrubbery.
A&R for, this lot?
yes.
Okay.
It was for lot 6.
Lot 6.
However,
My
it's good,
concern
like
was that
Ralph
the
said,
plans
yeah.
weren't correct,
Yeah.
and the paperwork that was submitted, they also left out the checklist that we're requiring with a signature on it. So, in essence, it wasn't, we're missing material.
It's not up to date.
So I'll make a motion to deny for lack of information.
I will second that motion.
No, you
All
can't
those-
second it.
Oh,
You
Yeah,
can't, I'll second it, you say all those
You're
in
gonna be the
favor.
sitting chair, okay.
Who's gonna second it?
I'll second it.
Yes.
Yeah,
All those in favor?
I got a
Aye.
seconder in my
Oh,
belt.
any
Yes.
discussion? Any discussion?
None.
Okay.
Ted, are you in favor?
I'm in
All
favor
those in
of
favor?
rejection.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, when I went in, I noticed that.
Yeah, they just took an old plan.
And that's exactly what he did, but
Yeah,
knowing that
that's
it's gonna be
exactly what he did.
recorded,
Yeah,
and that this is gonna be the latest
That's it.
plan coming forward,
That's it.
yeah.
There's a lot of work he's gotta do on this.
and
Yes,
the
there
is.
full checklist, which we're
He just made a
requiring.
copy, he's a brand new.
It was just
He just
amazing.
made a copy, and Ralph is right. It should not be the latest thing that's recorded in the registry, because anybody looking at it wouldn't even have an understanding
That's
that
an
there was
expensive
another building
marker.
there.
Yeah.
Right,
That's an expensive marker.
yeah.
Do we want to reorganize tonight?
Oh, yeah, I was going to bring that up.
What's that?
Pass the election and.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations,
We have two
Tide.
new guys.
Congratulations.
Big party at my house tomorrow night.
Yeah,
for
you
the-
said that
for the
last time.
celebration. Well, tomorrow night's the night.
All right.
Unopposed, accusable, right?
All right, so Sandro,
crazy.
you are up if you are interested. It's up to the board if you want to keep things as they are.
I will make a motion to nominate, I will nominate Sandro as chair.
And I would second that, and then if he has further discussion,
If you don't want it, you do not have to accept it. You can say you want someone else.
we could do, like I said, if you wanna take it for a month or 2 months, try it.
We'll try it for a while. Give Mike a break.
So I've got a motion made and seconded. So who will be vice chair?
Well, we'll start with him first.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll make a motion to approve Sandro as our new chairman. I'm sorry, I have a motion made and seconded, I'm already getting confused. All those in favor?
Aye. Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Sandro. You're gonna do great.
And I make a motion to nominate Mr. Page as the vice chair.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we need to call it.
I don't mind
that
being
one,
the clerk.
Sandro.
I get to sit next to Robin.
Yeah,
One of the two of you is clerk.
Yeah.
Because you're the new ones.
It should be tied.
The new
Should be?
I would make a
It
motion,
should be
yeah,
tied.
because he's a 5-year, and we're gonna
Right back
skip
to the
over you,
beginning
Mike.
again.
So you sit over here in one of these non-compliant seats that
Okay.
we just,
Yeah.
I would make a motion to nominate Tide Richards as
I don't get to sit next to Mike.
clerk.
On the other side if you want.
Oh, man.
On the other side.
Okay. Well, I can sit next to
Mike and I are
Motion
fighting, who
made.
gets to sit next to you.
I know.
I get to sit next to
I'll see you out in the parking lot, Mike.
That's,
Anyone gonna
that's
second
because
it?
I'll
you
second
both
it.
wear shin.
We have a motion made and seconded to.
All those in
keep-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
We, Mike and I run elections together every year.
You know, so it seems. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be the chairman asking?
No, he's still.
No, he's not. We just
Motion
reorganized.
absolutely doesn't do it though.
Would you like to call
Do
the
I,
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn
Okay,
this meeting.
Sandro.
So moved.
I have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.